This conference will now be recorded.
So welcome everybody to the high-risk recurrent advanced group on the 25th of August. We do record this group for posterity, plus the people who didn't hear what was said the first time and want to go back, and all those people who can't make it to the meeting and would like to listen again. And if anybody, especially anybody new, is at all uncomfortable, you just have to let us know. We'll find a workaround for all of you. Okay, with that said, I'll read off the names that I have, and we may have a couple of new people here. So we see Jake, Peter, Paul, Joel, Gary, Larry, Len, Russ, Lou, Herb, Jim, Mark, Dennis, and David. Did I miss anybody? Okay. Glad to hear that. Now, Mark from San Diego, are you new to this group?
Yes, I am.
Thought so. Well, welcome.
Glad to be here.
It's good to have you. How did you find us?
Through a friend of mine, Ron, who also lives in San Diego. He sent me an email link today, and I do apologize for not being on the web. I just don't have access to a computer right now, so I'm here on the phone.
No worries.
But I've been talking to Ron for some time, and he thought this would be a good venue for me to join. Super.
It is a better experience if you do find yourself in a position where you can get in on the online, only because not just that you happen to see all these handsome men. Well, there's one or two, but it's not that you can see us all, but we put a lot of stuff in the chat window. That said, after the meeting, we do post the meeting, and we include the chat window and everything else. And if you would like to be included in the reminders for future meetings, just send either go to our website, AnCan.org, and sign yourself up on the contact page, or send an email to us at info@ancan.org, and we'll make sure that you get put on the list. And then before every meeting, you get a little reminder with some interesting facts as to what has been going on in the prostate cancer world over the past week or so. Sometimes it's research, sometimes it's a story, sometimes it's I don't know what. Sometimes it is we have new shirts, and everybody should get one of our nice new shirts that says "Be your own best advocate" on the front. Okay, with that said, and if you're comfortable, please tell us a little bit about your history, your background, your age, where you're being treated, and if you have any questions for this illustrious Brains Trust.
Oh, I would enjoy that. I am currently 66 years old. 3 years ago, at 63, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and elected at that point to have a prostatectomy. And the biopsy from the prostatectomy showed that I had fairly aggressive cancer, 4x5 Gleason, and I had it reevaluated, that biopsy, by John Hopkins, and it came back an unfavorable 7 for 4x3, which was good news for me. But I thought that the cancer was gone, but John Hopkins said that I did have extra extraprostatic extension in their reanalysis of the prostate tissue. So about a year ago, my PSA began to rise after the prostatectomy. It was 0.03, which I thought was pretty good, and it stayed there for some time, but started to rise, and currently it's about, I estimated, and my last PSA was about 2 months ago, and it was 0.13.
Mm-hmm.
I do realize that the standard of care, for the most part, is that once you see that rise, or if it gets to 0.1, that you should do full pelvic radiation. Unfortunately, I am a bit higher risk. I have had urethral strictures throughout my life. I've had 2 urethroplasties. Urethroplasty is, I think, even worse than a prostatectomy, frankly, in terms of recovery. But having said that, I'm worried about scarring with radiation. That's the reason I did not do radiation prior to the prostatectomy. I wanted to do radiation, but I was advised by urology and radiation oncologists that I should not do the radiation because of the higher risk for urethral stricture. So I did the prostatectomy. Now I'm in a situation where I need full pelvic radiation to deal with it if I do want to deal with it, or the other choice is to live with it and see where it's at. I contacted my initial therapy was at UC San Diego. I have been in touch with UCLA, and I really like Dr. Reiter up there. He's a urology oncologist, and asked his opinion. And as I was heading down the full radiation path, and he suggested that he said a couple of things that were kind of interesting. He said that overall survival, there really wasn't any articles demonstrating that or showing that there was a benefit to doing the radiation or not doing the radiation for someone. And he suggested that it may be best for me to wait and see the behavior of my PSA. It's not acting like a 9. Hopefully more like, the John Hopkins results, the 4x3. But he suggested, because Dr. Reiter at UCLA, that I wait, watch the behavior of the PSA, and at 0.2 possibly get a PSMA, a CT PET. At 0.3 get the same thing. 0.4 get another one, and see if I can see it. He believes that it's probably because of the extraprostatic extension. It's probably in the bed. But truthfully, since I'm high risk, I was estimated that I had about a 20% chance of a grade 3 complication, urethral complication, and that really scared me because 20% is pretty high. And so at this point, I am waiting to get to 0.2 to get my first PSMA PET CT, and I'm scared because I'm waiting. And but I know there's a small chance that they would see something that small. But for me, I think it's worth the risk of waiting. There's a marginal benefit of having the radiation now versus waiting to 0.3 or 0.4. I was provided some information about the probabilities of recurrence by having radiation, full pelvic radiation at different PSA levels. And given that I'm, the difference between where I was at 0.13 to 0.2 is only losing 1 or 2%. And if I wait to 0.4, maybe I lose 4% to 5% possible freedom from biochemical failure again. So for me, it's worth the wait. But my problem has been is I feel like a unicorn because I have this issue with urological problems. And I just don't want to end up with a quality of life that is far less than what I have right now. And I'm very active, play tennis. I'm just really worried about the radiation. But I think what's prudent for me is to wait to 0.4, see if I can see anything, and then take the radiation at that point. That's where I'm at today. What I'd like to know from this group is if they know of better imaging than PSMA PET CT, where that might be. I'll go anywhere, and whether my thought process is correct, and also whether I might be going to other institutions. I know some of you were, closer to Johns Hopkins than I am. I've thought about Mayo Clinic in Minnesota, and I'm willing to go to those places. I just don't know whether they're going to be saying anything different than the folks out this way. I am kind of concerned, when I deal with urologists, when I deal with medical oncologists, radiation oncologists, I just don't know who's leading this parade or who should be leading it. I guess it's me who should be leading it. I understand that, but I do like this urologist oncologist up at UCLA because of the fact that he's really got no vested interest in me, and he's very engaged in this world. I don't consider him a part-time player. I think he's a full-time player. And being a tennis player, I like people that, if you hang around someone who's pretty good, they usually have people around them that are pretty good, or know other people that are pretty good. And that's what this group here represents to me. And I'm just very pleased to be here today. And if people have thoughts about what I might be, any constructive thoughts, I'd be more than open to listening to them, believe me. And, I've covered quite a few bases here. I'm a PT3A in terms of my Johns Hopkins biopsy results, or I guess lab results. And I feel like I'm rambling right now because I didn't have anything prepared, so I apologize.
That's okay. You did a great job. I think we've got the picture by and large, and there's a number of things you've said which to me are controversial. I'll let the guys have a go first, but there's certainly some things there that I'm not sure I would totally agree with, as to either what you said or what the doctors said to you, based on empirical evidence, that is. But let me open it up. I think everybody understands the situation. A lot of you guys have wrestled with this situation, when to intervene, but the glitch here is when to intervene when you've got a history of urethral strictures, and how do you address that? Who wants to go first? Peter, okay.
Mark, this is Peter Kafka. I live in Maui, and I've had most of my therapies, treatments in California over the years. A couple of things. One is UCLA does gallium-68 PSMA PET CT scans. It's not covered by insurance because it's not approved yet, but they do it there, and it would be useful probably to have that, and it picks it up at a pretty low level. I don't think you need to. Well, you could wait a little longer, but it might pick something up. The other thing, which would be, did you say you're 66 or 56?
66.
66. Okay, so you're on Medicare.
Yes.
Okay. Another thing I would do, which wouldn't cost you anything, is, and this is a little controversial, but I had radiation done with him for Recurrence a couple of years ago, and that's sit down with, because you're so close, with Dr. Carl Rossi in Miramar, the California Proton Center, and ask him about, because Proton is a pencil beam, very pinpointed, and they might be able to not go anyplace near your urethra particularly if you did a PSMA scan first and they knew where the targets were. It might be an effective way to do things. But I would sit down with him anyway, since he's right there in your neighborhood, and get an opinion.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Peter. I've met with Dr. Rossi a couple times, and he's the one that gave me the percentage of the potential for a grade 3 complication, urological complication of 20%. He recommended full pelvic radiation, and that was his estimate of complication risk. And he's the one I wanted to go to for instead of doing the prostatectomy. And he deferred to urology at that point regarding the risks, and that's the reason I did the prostatectomy. So I do like Dr. Rossi. There is controversy about proton versus photon, and that is a big question for me. Proton therapy is a very precise, delivery system, and it certainly has its place. I have been assured that the way they actually do it is that it is appropriate for full pelvic radiation. I mean, with full pelvic, you do have a target. It's the full pelvic, but you don't want to miss by a little bit and still have something left. So I was thinking photons might be better, but I know UCLA that does not have protons. They kind of feel that photon is better. And I was kind of curious really about Mayo and Johns Hopkins, where they do have proton and photon, and what they might recommend for full pelvic radiation, because like I said, proton's great. It's just that full pelvic, it's a big area. UCSD assures me, I know Dr. Rossi, he feels pretty comfortable with what he's doing there, and he's very good at it. He's got, a great record. I just wanted to get some independent information. I do work for a company that makes, they make medical equipment and they make x-ray machines and things like that. But at any rate, if I do get the radiation, I think proton, I'm leaning towards Dr. Rossi with proton. So I really appreciate your comments about him. Thank you.
But his name at UCLA is Albert Cheng, who did my, I've done both photon and proton. And Albert did mine when he was up at UCSF, but now he's at UCLA, and he's pretty good.
Okay, thank you. That sounds good.
Who else would like to contribute to this conversation? No one? No. Well, Len's leaning forward into the microphone. Go ahead, Len.
Just unmuting myself. Hi, Mark. I'm Len, and I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. The first pathology report recorded you as 4+5. Is that right, Gleason?
That is correct. 4+5, and they gave me a grade of PT2C. So I didn't have any extra prostatic extension from their eyes. And what I did, just to let you know, is because I got these two different pathology reports, and the guy up at UCLA, Dr. Reiter, said if he encouraged me to get a decipher test as kind of a tiebreaker, if you will, and the decipher came back in the low risk category for what, it's the genetic test I'm sure you guys are aware of. And so I'm kind of leaning more towards the Johns Hopkins pathology report. But my initial one was 4+5, 9. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to suggest maybe a third reading of the pathology might be in order, but since your genetics test showed you were low risk, it does sound like Hopkins got it right.
Does to me too. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. Now you mentioned the grade 3 toxicity, 20% chance because of the urinary strictures. Did they tell you if that's something you recover from or not?
Well, they don't know. I mean, I could end up with a suprapubic forever. The surgery after radiation, if they obliterate the urethra and there's no way back, one of the reasons I went to UC San Diego is they had a stricture surgeon that was a high-volume surgeon up at UCSF by the name of Dr. Buckley. She's very good. Worked with, well, if you're in the stricture area, she's pretty good. And she encourages me very strongly to get the radiation. But she doesn't have to live with, I mean, a lot of them think that living with a suprapubic is not a big deal. You know, and I don't know how it is. I mean, some people are just fine. I know when I was 40 years old and had urethroplasty, or, you know, I had complete shutoff of the urinary flow at 40 because of stricture, I wasn't a very happy person.
No.
And I thought of being there again, just, you know, I'm dealing with some fear that is more exaggerated. I mean, a lot of people don't know, and when they go into these things, what it's like coming out the other side. I guess I feel like I have PTSD associated with it, because at 40 I went through a failed urethroplasty, and then I was saved by Dr. Makinich up at UCSF, who was at the cutting edge of that. There were only 2 guys in the country that were any good at it and were doing high volume, and I got to one of them, thank goodness, and he fixed me. But now the thought of maybe obliterating that urethra and being back on a suprapubic, or you know, they might be able to do something besides a suprapubic inside me or what have you. You know, don't get me wrong. The point of it is, it's a 20. What I've tried to do, you know, you look at a glass, you know, and one is 20%, and then the other one is maybe I have a 50 or 60% chance of putting off a recurrence here for some time. And, you know, there's an 80% chance that I won't have a grade 3, right? So I'm trying to focus on that.
Let me jump in here, because I want to focus on a couple of other issues before we move on. We'll spend about another 10 minutes with you.
That's fine. Oh, that's fine.
I want some of these guys to comment who have intervened after RPs about the level at which they've intervened. We've got we've got at least 2 or 3 guys here who have or are having radiation and on recurrence. Now, you know, what are your thoughts on at what level to intervene? We're seeing here that it's gone 0.03 to 0.13. What levels did you intervene at, and would you do that again? Who wants to respond to that? One of the guys that's had to intervene after an RP.
Yeah, well, it's a different game now, because now they have PSMA scans. When I intervened, I waited till it was about 2.0 was my first intervention, but there was no PSMA scan. It was still just shooting in the dark of going for the pelvic girdle and the prostate bed. But it, you know, now more accurate.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good point, Peter. So we have PSMA scans. One of the things I want to talk about before we leave this is at what level do you get a PSMA scan? John, you were one of the guys in mind, and you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Well, mine came post-surgical PSA. 6 weeks was 0.06, 12 weeks was 0.17, and that triggered the radiation plan.
Okay. So,
and I'm a 9, like Mark.
And you were a Gleason 9. So you were ready to intervene when it got to around 0.2, and that's something you discussed with your docs ahead of time, or?
Really at the time.
Okay.
You
Okay.
guys helped me hook up with a good medical oncologist, and he was all for being aggressive at that point. And I had positive nodes, and I had some invasion into seminal vesicles, and so adding all those together with the remaining, we know that there's some remaining cancer after the surgery, put it all together, and so we kind of went on the attack at relatively low levels. Now, I didn't have all the risk factors that Mark does, so I can certainly appreciate the argument for waiting until he gets to a little bit more traditional trigger points for further radiation. But at least that's the way it was in my case.
And you, Russ, when did you intervene? Russ, hello.
I didn't hear you talk to me. What was the question?
When, what level did you intervene after your RP?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, good. Okay.
So 1 year from my prostatectomy, I had three straight raises. I went to Dana-Farber, Boston, and we decided to go ahead with the radiation. Not that it was too high, but it was just that, it went from 0.08 to 0.09 in less than 30 days. And so that's straight raises. And that's when I decided to go 39 rounds of radiation, Lupron and Casodex. And I'm just at the end of that trail right now. My radiation's over, and just finishing up on the medicines.
So you jumped in at around 0.09. Is that right?
0.09 is when I made, based on recommendations here and other places, to contact Dana-Farber and talk to a specialist there. My urologist wouldn't give me the referral.
Right, we remember.
Yeah, I had to go to my family practitioner, and she gave me the referral. They got me in quick, and I may have moved a little too quick, but I'd rather move too quick than too late. I made the mistake on my original diagnosis of waiting. When my PSA was starting to rise, I had no idea what the magnitude was of rising PSA, or everyone thinks that prostate cancer is a good cancer. There is no good cancer, but I've learned volumes of information since I've been diagnosed, and I wanted to be proactive. I think much like Mark does to get this done. I did not have the urinary issues, but the going through the 6 months of ADT and 39 rounds of radiation, it's not fun, but we all got through it.
So what anyone else have an experience making the decision after the radical prostatectomy when to jump in?
Rick, I just want to say one thing for Mark, that I'm a G7, a repeat customer. I had the radical prostatectomy, followed up a year later with the radiation and ADT. A lot of similarities. I'm 59, so we're fairly close in age, but a lot of the same issues that we faced, other than the urological urinary issue. So.
What about, who would like to comment on at what level of PSMA, gallium-68 PSMA is effective? Herb, Len or Herb, either of you? Len, go first.
Well, when I had my PSMA done at NIH, their criteria for that, you had to have a PSA of at least 0.6. So they didn't feel that anything below that they'd be able to detect it. Now that was a year ago. I don't know if the thinking has changed. Now, the other thing I wanted to say, I didn't get a chance to before, Mark, is that I believe the standard of care says that you post prostatectomy, the window of opportunity for salvage radiation is between 0.2 and 0.5. So I don't know, if I recall correctly, you were saying one of the physicians was advising you to have like PSMA tests done at 0.2 and 0.4.
Well, I think it seems like from Astro and some other group that they made a recommendation that people post prostatectomy, if they get 3 consecutive rises of the PSA after the prostatectomy, that would be an indication that there's consistent growth. Obviously, if it's popping around, that's okay, but if it's consistently going up, they would recommend getting the radiation sooner rather than later. And normally, they feel that the best results, I mean, it is a little controversial, but usually they say 0.1 should be the trigger point where you get the biggest bang for your buck in terms of having the radiation be most effective. I understand that, but given my complications, I've decided complication risk, urological risk, I've decided that it makes, what I feel is that a reasonable man, and that's what I'm trying to be here, would wait if they have the urological risk, because there is just a marginal benefit of doing the radiation at 0.1 versus 0.2 or 0.3 or 0.4. What I feel right now may be appropriate for me is to have it at 0.4 with obviously ADT and that kind of stuff along with it. And that would give the PSMA PET CT a chance to see if it can be seen somewhere else. If it's out of that area, obviously I save my cost of radiation. If I may just get a better plan for the radiation by them being able to tweak the normal pattern of radiation just a little bit based upon a PSMA read. I've been told from UCLA that maybe I'd have, a 30 or 40% chance of seeing something at 0.4.
I think that's probably right, in that it's not going to be that high. It's not going to be as good as if you can wait until about 0.65 or higher. 0.1 for intervention is the lowest I've ever heard. Usually what we hear is 0.2 and above, as Len said. In the old days, it used to be even higher than that, all the way up to about 2.0. They would wait and wait. The fact is that early salvage radiation does appear to save lives. I would disagree with the urologist who said it doesn't. I put a post you can't see it, but I put a post in the chat window. And if you go to Alan Edell's blog called Prostate News, Views, and something. What's it called, guys? Prostate what? What's Alan Edell's blog called?
News, Reviews, and Views, or something like that.
There you go. So if you go there and search on his for some of his pieces on early salvage radiation or salvage radiation, you'll find some good stuff. There are a couple of things just to wrap up that sort of concern me somewhat. I mean, this whole issue about the radiation is definitely a huge challenge for you, but I do think that with some of the new techniques and technology, maybe there is a way to be more specific about where they're focusing, what sort of beam they're using and where they're focusing. And if they can give the urethra a margin, I mean, it wouldn't be typical, but they may be able to do that. They may be able to do it even with SBRT. So I think I'd be wanting to talk. It sounds like you've talked to a bunch of guys. Other than Rossi, who have you spoken to? What names have you spoken to for radiation therapy?
I've just spoken to, radiation oncologists at UCLA and also at UC San Diego. And go ahead.
You talked to at UCLA?
LA? Dr. Kashan. He's a younger guy.
Yeah, I think I have heard his name. It's tough once you've spoken to one to go to another. I was going to say, have a chat with Albert and see what he thinks, because we like Albert a lot.
Chang?
Yeah. But it's hard to switch from one to the other. Where would I go? UCLA is great. UCSF is good. MD Anderson is good. Hopkins is fine. I don't know Dana-Farber and what's his name, Antonini, whatever his name is there, is very good. I'm trying to think of the really top-notch Rad Oncs who might look at this in a slightly different way. Now, the problem is if you go to some of the really good Rad Oncs who are traditional, when I say traditional, they've been around for a while, say like Mac Roach at UCSF, I don't think he's going to he's not going to think widely. He's going to do it the way he always does it. And that's not what you want. You want a guy, Albert, I think, would think more widely. Does anybody have any suggestions of a Rad Onc that might be a good consult for Mark? I guess not. No one? Yes, David.
You're muted.
There's a guy at Northwestern. If we just want Mark to get to a consult, Rick, there's a guy at Northwestern who I really liked. His name is Sajdev. He's a younger guy. He seems to be very progressive, and it's somebody who I could suggest.
Okay, spell his last name, please.
I'm trying to find it here. Sajdev. What's the name of?
Okay.
Hang on, I'm looking it up right now. 1 second.
It's okay. Take your time. But I think that's probably what I'd be doing, Mark. I'd be trying to find some of these cutting edge guys. I know who I might talk to.
You feel that Albert Chang at UCLA is pretty good. I know Kashan has written some articles with him. And
I do, but I don't know how you'll get to him, because it's very hard to switch once you've seen one guy there. You can make it happen, but they don't like you seeing somebody else if you've already seen somebody in their group, in the department.
I understand. I'll deal with that, but my little stricture problem, it's a bulbar stricture, so it's fairly close to the neck of the bladder, so that was the issue. And, that kind of led me to Proton. I was thinking Proton would be wonderful because they'd be so precise they could miss it and all that.
Yeah.
But,
makes a lot of sense. The guy at Northwestern Methodist, his name is Sean Sajdev, Sachdev. He's a younger guy. I've never had conversations with him like you're having, but he's a younger guy. He seems to be very progressive, comes highly recommended from Dr. Hussein, and you might reach out to him and see what he says.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well,
Appreciate that.
we got to move on, but hopefully
Yeah.
that's a few ideas, and come on back, send us your email, come on back, keep
Yeah.
talking to us. And you know, there's a couple of other guys, if I think of them and you send me your email, I'll forward their names on to you. But I think that we've given you a fair amount to be working with there.
I'm very appreciative. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Pleasure. All right, so I'm going to go down the list and see who would like some time today. And I think I've got everybody. I think I've got everybody on the list. So, Jake.
Yeah, Rick, I do have a PSA update.
Okay.
A little disappointing.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to you. Peter, anything for you?
Sure, I'll give you a quick update.
Thank you. Paul Frieda, anything for you today?
Nothing for me tonight, thank you.
Okay. Joe Blanchette, anything for you?
Yeah, PSA update, if you wish, from Dr. Antonarakis.
Okay. Gary Burr, anything you'd like to talk about tonight?
No, I'm okay, thank you. I'm good.
Okay. Mr. Fish, anything for you? What is that behind you? What the heck are we looking at behind you there, Mr. Fish?
That's really, we want to get into that? That's a screen that I use to block off the room when I'm teaching a class, a Zoom class. So I open it up and it creates like a background because I don't have like a non-messy wall or place in the apartment. So I just put the screen up. That's my, anyway, nothing for me tonight. Thank you, Rick.
Okay.
I thought it was a science fair project behind you.
Yeah, no, it was like a block off the rest of the room project.
Len, what's on your mind? Anything?
My mind is always blank, Rick. No.
Okay.
Well,
Speaking of which, Ross, what's on your mind?
when the Dalai Lama went to buy a hot dog, what did he say to the hot dog vendor? Len?
Probably nothing. I don't know.
Oh, I'll have one with everything.
Very good. Very good. All right, Russ, that's giving you time to think. Is there anything you'd like to talk to us about?
Yeah, but I'm kind of insulted about the empty head there, but yeah, blue brown fog. But yeah, I got a couple updates that.
Okay, you're good. Lou, is there anything you'd like to talk to us about today?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lou. Herb, is there anything you'd like to talk to us about?
No news yet.
Okay.
No news there.
Jim Ward, anything for you?
Nothing for me tonight, Rick. Thank you.
Dennis McGuire, anything for you?
Yeah, hi, Rick. Two things.
Okay. And David Muslin, anything for you?
Yeah, I can give you a quick update. Yes, sir.
John, anything you'd like to talk about tonight?
No, thanks. And I do have to leave a little early.
Okay, we'll forgive you.
Hey, where is the other John anyway?
Oh, he's not here tonight, the other John. He must be a busy guy.
You can just call me John tonight.
You can just, that's why I did, because I didn't have any duplicates when we first came on. I didn't have any duplicates. And Dennis Correa, anything for you?
No, thanks, Rick.
Okay. All right. So let me just see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 people. Plenty of time, we hope. Okay. Let us kick off with Jake.
Okay. Okay, I've been on chemotherapy, docetaxel, since July 1st, when I had a high of 186 PSA. After 22 days, it went down to 136, 50 points, I was thrilled. But then I had another one just last week and it only went down 23 points. It's now 113. So it's a little bit disappointing. I was hoping it would continue to go down at 50 points a time, but it did not do that. So I'm not sure what to think.
Who would like to talk to Jake about that?
Yeah, it's Dennis McGuire. So you've had 2 treatments of docetaxel?
I'm going to start a new round tomorrow. It's every week for 3 weeks, then a week off, and then 3 more weeks and then a week off. So
I would say after 2 treatments, it's too early to draw conclusions. I wouldn't be disappointed with that result.
Okay, that's what I'm hoping, but thank you. I was just, it went down 50 points the first time and only 23 points this time. And I was hoping it would be 50 each time.
Well, that was 50 out of 100 and that was 50 out of a very high number. And then it's 23 out of a lower number.
True.
In a way, you're really not off, I don't think.
Okay, well, that's what I'm hoping. Thank you.
So, Jake, we had a little chat about that after the first one. Do you remember?
You and I chatted?
Me and thee, yeah.
Me and thee.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember. What do we talk about? We have a lot of chats, Rick.
We do. We talked about expectations. And that, just because it's been great this time doesn't mean it'll be great every time. And so I just wanted to say that it's that's what I wanted to say.
Well, you're going in the right direction, Jake, and I haven't had chemo, but the stories I've heard from guys, it's almost never linear, So as Dennis McGuire said, you have to give it more time.
Right.
It'll most likely continue to go down since you start.
And I think the way it always works, and I think this is echoing what you heard, it's a percentage kill. And so, your percentage is not that different from your first to second round. I mean, it's not an absolute value the way these things work. So I think you should expect that the increments may be lower because there's less to go after.
That makes sense. Thanks.
All right.
And as Len pointed out, it is going down, and as long as it keeps going down, then I'm going to stick with it. So, thank you,
I
guys.
don't know what's happened to all my notes on you, Jake. They've all disappeared. Have you been into my machine and eliminated my notes? They've suddenly all gone away, like you don't exist anymore. I can't figure this out.
Hey, Jake, how are you dealing with the effects of the chemo?
Well, it's extreme fatigue. I do take a lot of naps. I don't know. I have all kinds of weird things going on, but I don't know if they're chemo related or not. Like suddenly I developed a bruise on the back of my hand. I didn't bang my hand. I don't know what caused it, but suddenly I have a bruise. Came out of nowhere. And then I fluctuate between diarrhea and constipation, even though I'm trying to watch my diet and drink prune juice like Ken Anderson suggests. I don't know. It hasn't killed me yet, so I'm going to stick with it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, if it doesn't kill me, I'll live through it, as they say.
Okay. Anyone else to talk to Jake before we move along here?
Just one other thing, Rick or Jake, is the reason why they give chemo in cycles is because the different cells go into their own proliferative cycle at different times. So it could be that this last cycle, you didn't have that many cells going into the active cycle, which is when they become most vulnerable to chemotherapy. The more actively growing the cell is, or any particular cell is, the more liable it is to be knocked out by the chemo. And cells that are in a resting state, they're not affected at all. So it's another thing to keep in mind.
Well, what causes it to go into an arresting state or an active state, Lynn? Do you know?
It's just a normal cell cycle. You know, some cells, they go through a stationary phase where they're building up the molecules necessary to divide, and then there's a slight resting phase after they do divide. But you want to get the cells when they are dividing. That's when they're most vulnerable. It's a little technical, but probably get the idea.
Yeah. Well, thanks. That's it's not something you can time yourself, though. It's just.
Oh no, you
that's
can't.
Internal.
I mean, building on what Len said, so the reason you want to get them to dividing is that cell division depends on these things called microtubules. And Taxol is directed at that process. So you need to have it accessible to the microtubules when they're functioning. So that's the reason that you need its cell cycle.
Okay. Thank you.
Hang in there, Jake. We're rooting for you, man. Hang
Thank
in
you.
there.
Appreciate it, guys.
Bet.
Okay. Peter, is your PSA diving up and down, or where's your PSA going, man?
Okay, well, unlike Jake, I don't have PSA anxiety. I have hemoglobin anxiety.
Okay.
So my PSA has been going down about 5/100ths every time I do a blood test. I've had about 5 or 6 consecutive drops, or quite a few consecutive drops now. And when I did a blood test yesterday, and it's now at 0.14, which is pretty good. It was 2 weeks ago, it was 0.19. 2 weeks before that, 0.2 something like that. Anyway, so my PSA is not concerning me, but 2 weeks ago, I think I might have mentioned, I think I did mention that I was over the moon because my hemoglobin was all of a sudden back where it was 3 or 4 months ago. It was up to 9, which is still low, but at least it wasn't in the 8s. And I was really happy about that. And then all of a sudden it took another dive yesterday, and it's down to 8.6. It's not the lowest it's ever been was 8.5 a month ago. So, I think the same thing is true with me. I can't get too involved with the numbers. I just got to keep moving ahead, one foot in front of another, and keep doing things. I mean, I was really excited when I felt my blood was going up, and I even took my chainsaw out the other day and started pruning fruit trees, and I had to take some rests and stuff, but I felt better, so it was actually working, but now I'm not so sure again. So anyway, that's my report. It's been about 9 weeks since my last chemo.
So Peter, again, just tell us again what was your most recent hemoglobin?
8.6.
So it went from 8.5 to 9 and then back to 8.6.
Right, and all the other all the other blood factors follow, red blood, hematocrit, and so forth. Yeah.
Okay, but one thing I want to ask you, yesterday, as you just told us, you took out that old chainsaw and you cut down half a tree before you knew it was 8.6.
I think it's in my head. I know. I think it's in my head. So I'm just reporting. I'm not bent out of shape. I just think it's interesting that instead of PSA anxiety, that I have hemoglobin anxiety.
Okay. Have you taken that chainsaw out today?
No, but I'm going to do some. I've loaded up tools in my truck. I'm going to go down and do some work at my girlfriend's house, hauling some, cutting up some pipes and hauling them out to the dump tomorrow.
Okay, that sounds great to me on an 8.6 level of hemoglobin.
Okay.
We all think that hemoglobin is going to be coming back fast.
Yeah.
So just hang in there and keep taking the Procrit.
Yeah, again, I'm doing another shot on Thursday. We had another outbreak at the hospital here.
Right.
21 patients and 24 staff positive for COVID-19. And where I live, it's the only game in town. You can't run. I've checked out clinics. I've checked out other places. Nobody else will give you a Procrit shot. Nobody else would flush my port. So I'm going to, I've rented an astronaut suit from NASA to protect myself on Thursday. But, that's the best I can do.
Okay.
Why do you still need a port, Peter?
What's that?
Why do you still need a port?
Well, who knows? I don't know. It's easier than taking it out right now to just get it flushed every 2 months. But taking it out is a little operation, and I don't want to deal with that right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we had that conversation, Len. All right. Anybody want to talk to Peter about his hemoglobin and anxiety?
I'd rather talk about his chainsaw.
Oh, you'd rather talk about his chainsaw? That's okay. We can talk about his chainsaw. Go ahead. Ask him about his chainsaw.
Chainsaws, you have a smaller one, a bigger one? What kind do you have? I'm just teasing. I think it's great you're out there doing it. What?
The one I use is a low grade model steel. I have a bigger one, but I can't manage it. It's too heavy for me right now.
Yeah.
But the small one I can deal with.
It's so satisfying, isn't it?
Oh, it's wonderful. And things grow so fast. If I leave my shovel on the ground too long, it sprouts.
It's awesome.
Peter, what's the normal hemoglobin?
13 is the low point.
Okay.
13 to 17, I think.
Okay.
Jake, you disappoint me. I thought you were going to ask him what's a normal chainsaw.
Peter, take a look at your lab report and look at something called MCHC, mean corpuscular hemoglobin concentration, and then compare those values, because that tells you how much hemoglobin is in the cell. Just the total hemoglobin could be affected by hydration and other factors.
Yeah, that was low as well.
Okay.
Okay. We've sent him off. Hold on a minute. He's coming back with the lab report. Look at this.
Oh, look at that notebook.
And
wow.
check that binder, guys. That is how to keep yourself organized.
That's being your own best advocate.
That's right.
Did you say MCV?
MCHC.
Oh, okay, that's normal. It's on the low end, but it's normal. 32.2. 32 is average, it's low end.
So the issue is that it's your red blood cells that must be low.
Yes.
Yeah, so you gotta, well, that's why they're giving you the Pro Crit, of course. But I don't know, maybe if you feel it's affecting your energy level, maybe they'll give you a pint of blood. That'll help pack cells.
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared to death of getting a blood transfusion in the age of COVID. I mean, I remember people that got AIDS from blood transfusions years ago before they screened. I doubt they're screening for COVID at this point.
Could be right.
That might be.
I'm sure they're screening for COVID.
Hopefully.
Well, it's worth a discussion, and it's good, and it's good advice, Peter. And that's what we usually tell people when their hemoglobin and their red blood count gets that low. What's your red blood count?
2.64.
And what's the normal range?
I'll say now. Normal is 4 to 620.
Okay, that's 4. Sounds right. So it is, and I think that Peter's suggestion is a good one. And why don't you talk to your Med Onc on the island about that?
Yeah, I will. I've been talking to him about it. I asked him about boosting the Procrit shot up, but he didn't think that was a good idea. So I don't know. I'm doing Procrit every 2 weeks now for another month. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe we can.
All right, we're going to move, unless there's anybody else who wants to talk to Peter, we're going to move to Joe Blanchette. Joe Blanchette, what is on your mind?
Hey, I had a major PSA change. I went from 0.862 to 0.814 over 2 months. So, I can't. All my previous 4 PSAs were every month, and then I jumped 2 months, and the next PSA will be in 3 months. So I suspect that after my SBRT in February, that it might have dipped a little less than 8, and now it's coming back up. That's just a guess on my part, or maybe plateauing out. I don't know what the common thing after SBRT is, but I had a follow-up meeting with my radiation oncologist, and he says, I want to see you back in the office if your PSA upticks twice. So I told Dr. Antonarakis 2 days ago about my situation and what my PSAs were. And he says, well, I agree with your radiation oncologist. If your PSA picks up another 2 or 3 times, then we need to give you another PSMA PET scan and see if we can locate more cancer someplace else. So, or maybe there's some left behind in the left iliac bone. So that's where I am basically, just in a holding pattern until the PSA does something better than leveling at 8.8.
So let me just say, you say that it went from 0.814 up to 0.863, is that right?
The reverse, 0.862 down to 0.814.
Okay, so it went from 0.862
down to 0.814.
To 0.814. I mean, the notes I'm looking at, you've been in that same 0.8 range for quite a long time.
No, the day of my radiation, I took a baseline PSA and it was at 1.36. The month after radiation, it was 1.76 because of the PSA flare. And then it went down to 1.3 the next month, and then 1.0 the next month. And the next month was 8.62.
Oh, well,
that was
8.6. 8.6 or 0.86?
0.86.
Okay, that's a big
Yeah, if I said 8.6, that was incorrect. It's
Oh,
0.8.
so I got that all wrong. So when you had the, when did you get the radiation in
Yes,
February? No,
3, 5, and 7 February. Yes, 3 treatments.
right. So I had your 1.26, 1.3, and then it went up as high as, what was the highest it got to?
0.76 with the PSA flare after the SBRT.
Right, 1.76,
And
and
then
now it seems to have dropped again.
a month later, it was 1.3. A month after that, it was 1.0. And then it dropped down to 8.14, 8.62, and then 8.14.
Yeah, 0.862 and 0.814.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't confuse Jake, Joel. Okay?
It's easy to do.
It's easy to do. And we do our best not to confuse Jake on this call. Okay?
So I think he's leaning towards more radiation in the future, not ADT. I did ask him about Xofigo and Provenge and lutetium-177. He says you don't qualify for those. Those are only for people with metastatic castrate-resistance prostate cancer. So I say you have hormone sensitive, so you don't qualify for those other drugs that the FDA hasn't.
I mean, you know, well, I'm just looking at the overall picture from 1.26. I'm just looking before that. Or 1.3 down to around 0.8 after the spot radiation. I mean, what makes you, is there something that makes you think that there is another spot in there?
No, the 5 scans that I had before the SBRT treatment, MRI, FDG, sodium fluoride, PSMA PET, and CT, regular CT scan, all said that I had cancer in one place, the left iliac bone. Now maybe they didn't have wide enough margin or something. I don't. Maybe they left some behind. Who knows? I just don't know. But the radiation oncologist himself said I ought to have another PSMA PET scan if my PSA ticks up twice more.
Because, so in other words, they're the ones that are thinking that you have more cancer in there somewhere.
I'm sorry, say that again?
So the radiation oncologist is thinking that the spot radiation should have taken you down lower than 0.814.
I don't know what he's thinking as far as that's concerned.
Okay. Is anyone else on the call can help me with this? I'm trying to sort of to get a handle on what's going on here. Yes, David Muslin.
Aren't we hearing that it's trending down in a good place? It sounds like positive news, Joel.
Exactly.
It is good news.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And you'll keep getting scans, and you're just watching it, but the trends are good. You're continuing to trend down.
Yes, that's correct. Just less and less every time, but it is trending down. Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I just am not, it's just not clear to me why they want to go in and do another scan at this point, but I can only think that because he thought that he would come down lower than that.
Yeah, that I don't know.
Len, what's your thought?
Yeah, maybe I misunderstood what Joel was saying. I thought he said he had an uptick and that Antanarakis said, okay, well, let's just wait and see if you have some consecutive upticks and then we'll consider scanning again. But it sounds like even though the rate of decrease of your PSA is slowing, nevertheless, it's still going down.
Correct. And both radiation oncologists and the GU medical oncologists both are saying the same thing. Let's wait for a couple upticks, then we'll do something about it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Anybody else have any comments for Joel?
Joel, are you nervous, Joel? Where's your head at emotionally?
Well, you know, the 3-month PSAs have always scared me, and for the last 6 months I've gone down to 1-month PSAs, but now I'm going back to the 3-month PSA. So I like the 1-month PSA because I could monitor the situation better, and so emotionally, you know, I'm scared like everybody else. I mean, you know.
All I can say is take a breath and be grateful it's going down and enjoy life.
Yeah.
We love that.
If it ever gets up, I'll get up again. I'll deal with it then too.
And you're not on ADT, Joel, is that right?
Never have been. I think Anton Arcus is trying to cure me without ADT.
Joel, do you have your PSA tests taken at the same lab all the time?
Yes, except that last time it was always Quest for the past 2 decades. The last test was from a totally different lab that I never heard of before. I think it's from Boston or someplace in New England. And so I don't know why. And I had 2 doctors with the 2 blood tests. One was a rheumatologist. The other one was my primary care doctor. I don't know why they switched labs. I don't know if somebody bought somebody out or what's going on.
Well, that could explain the difference. They say on the blood test results, do not compare results from one lab to another.
But yeah, maybe that's why I'm still at the 0.8 this situation. Maybe that if I was at Quest, that'd have been a different reading. Who knows?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Do you agree with that, Len?
Yeah, it's a good point, Jake. I didn't even think to ask that. I assumed it was all the same lab.
Yeah, I've been trying to always be the same type of PSA test, same lab, but somehow the doctors in the Reston area here switched to this other company, and I have no idea who they are.
Okay, well, try and figure out, I mean, the next time they're going to take your blood, you got to ask them where they're going to send it.
This is Sunrise Medical Laboratories. Anybody heard of it? Sunrise Medical Laboratories?
No.
I've never heard of it either. They have many different branches all over the place. Regina probably has 20 of them and so on, but I think their headquarters is, I think, in Massachusetts.
Well, below the PSA test on your blood test, they usually say what did they use? Was it Siemens? Was it somebody else? If you look at, a couple of ones, they'll say it was done at such and such a protocol. And then if it's the same with the Sunrise, then you're okay. But if it's different, then I'd raise that with your doctor.
Okay, will do. No, this is PSA free. We're not talking about that.
Okay, we're going to move along because I want to make sure we get everybody in. But that's a really good point, everybody. Always make sure your labs are from the same place and they're consistent. Very good point, down to our man, Jake. Okay, let's talk to Russ.
Just a quick update that, and tell me if I'm, wandering too far off, but on top of dealing with the prostate cancer radiation, ADT, they found a lesion on my kidney that they've been looking at. It went from 1 centimeter to 1.8 in about 8 months. The expert at Dana-Farber, Dr. Chang, says, put me on active surveillance. I went to my urologist who did my prostate surgery, and he wants to do surgery because that's what surgeons do. And I told him, no, not at this point, not at this time. And, I'm sure you want to cut me, but it's not going to happen. So like I said, that's really the only thing is, you go to kidney specialist at Dana-Farber, or you go back to your urologist and you get two different stories. But I'm sticking to my guns and waiting to see what happens. We're in active surveillance for a year.
It's so interesting because I had a fantastic urologist. I did. I love my guy at Kaiser, even though I got treated at UCSF, and that's probably who I would consider my lead docs for my prostate cancer. My urologist was a Kaiser guy, and he was always very averse to cutting. He didn't push me into doing an RP. And when he found this kidney cyst, he never pushed me into doing surgery, and we held on and held on and held on. And I think I've told you, it was only the emergence of the prostate cancer that stopped me having surgery, because in the end he said, you know, it's gotten that big, I think we should do something. And sure enough, after my prostate cancer, the cyst went down. So I think it got up to about 2 centimeters, and then it started going down from there. I don't even get it checked anymore. So I think you're doing the right thing. If it were me, I'd be going with your guy in Dana-Farber and tell your uro to sharpen his knives on somebody else.
Right. Well, when I pushed back, he said, okay, that's an option. I can see that. And, you know, he took kind of a back seat at that point. But, you know, this is the same guy that denied the referral to Dana-Farber too. He's one of the best urologist prostate surgeons in the area, but you know, he just seems like he wants to be 100% in control. And you know, because I've been trained and mentored here, that's not going to happen.
Did you wear your shirt when you went to see him?
No, I wore this one.
Chicken, it was easier to wear that one than the one that says be your own best advocate, right?
No, that'll be the next time. No, I actually, okay. I didn't wear any cancer shirts or anything. What's in a regular t-shirt, so. But that's all. I just wanted to throw that out there, and nothing major.
Thanks.
Feeling better every day, stronger every day, so.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Are you settling into the house okay?
Yes, we're almost there.
Good. Is the missus home?
Maybe 8 more boxes to go.
Okay. And is the missus back home?
She is, and I see her outside walking my black lab. So,
okay.
No, very comfortable, very happy here. It's the one thing in life that, you know, I would say one thing, but it's a big thing in life that keeps us positive, with her dad being sick and me going through this stuff. We had something to look forward to for the last 6 months, and now we're in, and very happy. Thanks for asking, though.
And you're watching the grass grow.
What's that?
And you are watching the grass grow.
I am at this second, and it's pretty boring, but it is growing. I have to go out and take a measurement at 9 o'clock and see.
Okay. Anybody want to talk to Russ about this active surveillance versus surgery issue with his kidney cyst? I don't know if anybody else other than myself has experience with kidney cysts on this call. Okay. All right. Well, then we're moving right along, and we're on to my alumni buddy, Mr. McGuire.
Yeah, so I'm scheduled to have scans on Friday. You know, I'm 5 months post radiation. So my doc has recommended CT scans and bone scan this Friday.
Okay. Okay. And that's how many months past radiation did you do?
You know, mid-April is when I finished up.
Yeah, so it's It's about 5 months, 4 months
Yeah,
past.
4.5 months.
Okay. Will you be seeing your docs, or are they just sort of, you're just weaning you in for your scans and stuff?
So scans are Friday, and then I go see the oncologist on Tuesday to go over the scans as well as blood work.
And what are they're going to do a CT, an MRI?
CT and bone scan.
CT and bone scan, okay. And same scans that they did before in April?
Yes.
Same machines?
So, yep.
Okay. Okay. All right, well, we want to talk to you afterwards and hear how well you're doing. We don't want to talk to you now.
Yeah.
Well, we always want to talk to you.
Yeah, so the other thing, if we have time, I just have a question on insurance, but we can come back to that after we hear from all the guys. We have time?
Yes, please.
So I'm still on private insurance. I have Aetna as my provider. I'm 55, so I do not qualify for Medicare. And I just got surprised by Aetna. They raised my premium by 50%.
Whew.
Like $600 a month increase. So I was just wondering if any of the guys have experience with Medicare before age 65.
Have you gotten your Medicare yet?
No, I don't qualify.
Well, you do. It's just a fight. So you can apply for Medicare, and with metastatic prostate cancer, you are eligible. But in the last year or 2 years, it's been very hard to get it. Before that, it was relatively easy. So Ken Anderson knows a fair amount about this recently. I mean, I went through this in 2010 or 2011, and they turned me down. I had to challenge them. I didn't have clear metastatic cancer. I was stage 3. I wasn't stage 4. But I was suffering quite heavily from the ADT, and I did apply for disability SSDI, and I did get it. And at the time, they used to backdate you and count the 28 months that you have to be disabled for from the date of my first diagnosis. And so by the time I got it, I only had to wait about 3 months to get onto Medicare.
Okay.
Now, so I think, how old would I have been when I got it? I probably would have been 58 or 59 when I got it, something like that. I'm not sure,
okay.
but
All
something.
right, that's a good point. I do have SSDI right now. So if I hear you correctly, if you have SSDI, there's a waiting period and then you qualify for Medicare?
Yes, but what you have to do is you have to establish your date of diagnosis, which is, see, a lot of times when you apply for SSDI, they put your date of diagnosis as the date that you apply for the SSDI. But it should be from your date of diagnosis if it was before. And then they will backdate that. They won't backdate your payments more than 12 months, but they'll backdate the date of diagnosis more than 12 months. At least they would. But I know that Ken has found a whole bunch of different conditions now to what they were 10 years ago. But did you use an SSDI? Did you use a lawyer for your SSDI, Dennis?
I did. Yeah.
So call your lawyer and ask him what the date of your SSD of your disability was, and make sure it was the actual date that you were diagnosed metastatic with the nodes. And if not, you might want to apply, check with him and see if it's going to make a difference. And then you count off your 28 months from that date.
Okay. All right, good. I'll do that.
Okay. Now that doesn't take away from the fact that you've still got to deal with the present situation, because you're probably still not eligible. I don't know when that would be. I mean, from the date of when was the date that you were diagnosed metastatic?
Oh, 2015.
So you ought to be immediately eligible. So why don't you find out from him when your eligibility is, when you're going to be eligible for them, because then what happens is you just have to select, you'll just select a plan G, plan F, plan G, whatever plan you want, or an HMO. I mean, I probably wouldn't suggest an HMO, but I would suggest plan F or plan G or something like that. And you get in with a decent carrier, United Healthcare or whoever it is.
Okay. All right, good. That's helpful. Thanks, Rick.
Okay. Now, that said, if you have to go with a normal plan, I know that Ken has, I think, a $14,000 deductible every year. So what you're paying out of pocket, if they just upped you $600, what you're paying out of pocket must be about 14 grand.
Oh, for my premium?
Yeah.
Oh, for my wife and I, it's 20,000 per year.
So, there may be some plans out there that have high deductible plans that are lower than 20,000, including what you're paying.
Yeah.
Check with Ken Anderson, and then what you want to do is ask Ken, who else? Dave Hannam, maybe in Seattle, is another good guy to talk to. But Ken knows his guys who are on the under 60 call, because they're all wrestling with the same issue that you're wrestling with. So I'm thinking Dave Hannam. Russ, you're probably on your wife's plan, aren't you?
Yes, I'm on my wife's plan, but I'm also working, and I work for a healthcare company, but my wife's a teacher, and we've got a Cadillac plan that unfortunately is keeping her from retiring right now.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who the other vocal guys are on Ken Anderson's call. I don't know Brian Heisey, but I don't know what his insurance is, but you know how to get hold of Ken, right, Anderson?
Yeah, I've got his contacts.
Okay,
Yeah.
so call him, because he'll have a better handle on what the different guys are doing for insurance, because they talk about that quite a bit.
Okay, that's helpful.
So there's 2 avenues for you. Okay?
Thanks, Rick.
Okay. Does anybody else have any knowledge to contribute to Dennis before we go on? Okay.
Hey, I'm sorry, Rick. I don't know anything about insurance, but I wanted to ask Dennis, why do they want to initiate new scans? Has your PSA been rising?
Yeah, it's and that was in June, and that was a decrease. I went from, at the start of radiation, 14 down to approximately 6 in June, and I was, this is my 3-month update. I go in for Lupron and the whole works, and what's going on?
I lost you there. I don't know if anybody else did, but I didn't hear that your PSA is going up or not.
No, I'm sorry. It's not. My last, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So my last PSA was in June, and it was down from the start of radiation. So this will be a 3-month checkup with blood work, Lupron shot, and he recommended, well, let's do scans and see what happened to the lesions.
Okay.
Okay.
Post the RT. So Len, I mean, they're just looking to see what the impact of the RT was.
Right.
I think Len's thinking, but I'm not sure.
No, I said, okay. I
Okay.
just would have thought that they would have taken a PSA just to, you know, I mean, if a PSA was going down, why would they do a scan?
Just
See, yeah, I see the point. I think it's maybe their curiosity.
Okay.
okay. Well, they're doing, we would like to know the results. You would like to know the results. We'll talk to you next week and we'll find out.
I won't have results next week, but I could probably, if I do have them, I'll reach out to you, Rick, midweek.
Excellent. Anything else for David, for Dennis before we move to David?
I just have a question for Dennis. What kind of lesions are they watching, and where are they? What kind?
Well, my radiation was to the prostate, a pelvic lymph node, and a lesion on the hip bone. So it's really those areas.
Right. Hussein, Len, and the guys. Hussein's doing the same thing with me. Had radiation, and they're going back to check in 3 months after. 3 months after the radiation, or maybe 6 months after the radiation. I forgot which. So I'm on the same routine.
Before I forget, Mark, Peter Kafka has put something in the chat window for you that he also thinks another name you might want to consider is Felix Feng at UCSF, who is a very, very good radiation oncologist. So that's just another name for you, Felix Feng, F-E-N-G. You can look him up.
Thank you very much.
Sure. And Mr. Muslin, you have the floor.
Yes, sir. So as I said last week, I was totally upside down on my head on the Xtandi. I didn't realize how upside down I was until I got off of it. I've been off of it for 10 days, and I feel like I'm a new man.
Wow.
And so I'm going to wait 30 days and go visit eye to eye, as you suggested, I think, Rick, last week, with Dr. H, and see if I can convince her to go on enzalutamide based on what Dr. O is doing for Len, and based on, there's never been a confirmation that it was in fact metastatic, and that I have a bone scan that was negative. So I'm waiting a month, going to stay off of it for a month, and then have a chat. And I just wanted to make sure that's the smart thing to do.
Well, first of all, we're all delighted that you feel so much better. You look better. You sound better. We got a new man here.
Yes.
And I think some of the guys here will relate to that. Peter and Len, who both moved to darolutamides, and they were struggling with the abiraterone. Well, guys, what do you have to say to David Muslin?
You want to go first, Peter?
Sure. It's my understanding that anybody can get 2 months trial by courtesy of Bayer on their DUDE program, DUDE. Which is what I did. I don't have any bone mets. I had lymph node mets, which don't really qualify you as metastatic, but they are. But for the end of 2 months, Bayer told me I was on for a year, courtesy of them. So I'm good till the end of December, and then I'll figure it out. But I've been very happy with darolutamide. They send it to me every month. Doesn't even go through my insurance. It's just gratis of Bayer.
Can I do it without a prescription, or do I need a prescription from a doc?
I think your doctor has to fill out the 1 page of the DUDE trial thing. You fill something out, they fill something out. It's pretty simple.
Okay.
David, why don't you go, if it were me, I'd go to the Bayer website, look at the DUDE trial and find out all the info there.
Before I go see Dr. H.
Before you, exactly, with the paper in hand.
Right. And then the question is, what if she says, nope, can't do it, nope, 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 nope. What do I do?
You cross that bridge when you come to it. We have some thoughts, we'll talk to you. There's no point in going there right now.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, to me, there's no reason for her to say no. Especially if there's a trial, you can do it, they're willing to consider you, we can go to Bayer also. We have some Bayer contacts. And we can see, we can try and help you as best as we can. But if at that point she's not willing to do it, let's talk, because there's no reason for her to stand in your way, and especially given how much better you feel now than you did before.
Thank you.
Len, you speak up, sir.
Well, David already knows my history, my story. And so if you're not definitively metastatic, David, then like Rick just said, I don't see why your doctor would stand in the way. I mean, you would clearly be eligible.
Right. Got it. Okay. Well, I think it's okay to be off it for a month, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then I'll deal with it ICER next time. So
just make sure you wear one of our shirts, David.
What's that, Rick?
Just make sure you wear one of our shirts when you go to see her.
Okay. I get one. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Peter, this is your cue, Peter. Stand up in front of the camera. Stand up.
This is the old shirt. It doesn't.
It's the old shirt. The old shirt is no good. I'll have to get mine. I'll have to get mine out so that. Look.
There you go.
The DUDE thing, you can call Bayer directly. They have a number for their DUDE program.
There you go, Steve. Be your own best advocate, okay? Be your own best advocate. And you wear one of them, Dr. Hussein will melt at your feet.
You got it. I'll give it a try.
You have to buy one. You can't use a picture.
Okay.
Some nice sweatshirts there, ready for the Chicago fall.
You are such a salesman, Rick. I can't believe it. All right.
Putting a hard sell on, we are, Dave. We're putting a hard sell on you.
All right. Thank you, Peter. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything they want to say on this Xtandi darolutamide? And I know Jake's been was on Xtandi for an awful long time, and I don't know, anybody else been on Xtandi for a long time?
I've been on it 20 months.
20 months, and how's it affecting your mental state, Lou?
I've had no problem with it. A little bit of fatigue, weird dreams. Those are the only 2 side effects. I didn't catch what the other fellow's problem was with it. He felt bad when he was taking it for 2 months?
I had, number one, I had a big colitis flare up from it. Number two, tremendous fatigue, very bad thought. And I had like 4
So
or
it didn't
5.
work. Didn't work for you. Yeah, it didn't work for you. No, I've had no problems. 20 months.
You know, everybody's different. How many years did you get out of it, Jake? 3, 4? What was it?
I was on it for 30 months.
30 months.
Yeah, and it worked. It kept my PSA down in the, less than 3 range for quite a while.
Right.
And by the way, my PSA is only at 0.14, down from 1.4.
Which is good. And
Yeah.
let's see what happens now that you come off the Xtandi, if that changes.
Yep, I was only on it for a month, but that's we'll see. 6 weeks I was on it for, so we'll see where it goes up next time. Thanks again, guys.
I wanted to check in with Jim because you came on late, Jim. Is there anything that you wanted to raise with this group today?
Hey, Rick, it's Jim. You talking about talking to me?
Jim B. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll be quiet. Thank you.
I was just finishing a sandwich. Can you come back to me in a minute?
You can. We can, but we're almost done. But we've only got 9 minutes left. We don't have too many more minutes to come back to you on.
All right. So, I've just been here a couple of weeks, joining the call, and really find a lot of useful information. But right now, I'm kind of lost. I see after the one call, I have that spot that showed up on my bone scan, and we don't know what that is yet. So asking the docs about the PSMA, they said, "Oh, that's not FDA approved." I asked the radiologist, he said just that it's not approved. So the conversation didn't go anywhere else. I'm kind of lost on where I'm going to get, if it's even possible for me to get a PSMA or the Axiom scan, and it's kind of lost at that. And then I heard you say last night, Rick, the cost of the PSMA test is like $22,000. Did I hear that right?
No.
$2,750, $2,750.
Oh, okay, that's better.
So here's the thing. I mean, it's all well and good, these Rad Onc saying, oh, it's not FDA approved. We know that. We told you that. But the fact is, how's he going to figure out whether you're metastatic or you're not metastatic if he cannot? That's my question to him. Okay, doc, but how are you going to figure out if I'm metastatic or not? And it makes a difference. What are you going to do?
He's going to treat it with radiation. He wants to treat my prostate and the spine with external beam radiation, and and see if it resolves from there.
Okay, but if he wants to treat that spot with radiation, then he should be treating you somewhat differently in terms of the drugs you're on. I can't remember. I don't have your thing up in front of me. I know you started bicalutamide. You're going to get a shot. Are you going to get abiraterone?
I'm getting Lupron.
Right.
On Friday.
So then you ask this wise guy, okay, you think you're going to treat that spot. You think it's metastatic. Are you going to put me on abiraterone or enzalutamide? Ask him that question. I'm serious. I love these guys who say, oh, well, sorry, it's not FDA approved, so we'll just go ahead and radiate it. No, that's not the way you treat it. That's not the protocol. Tell him to look at the NCCN protocols. If he thinks it's metastatic, you should be put in a position to do some tests. He should be helping you figure out how to do those tests. Now, you can get the PSMA scan, we know. It costs you. unfortunately. There may be some places that it doesn't, but we do know at UCLA right now you can get it. And you ask this Yahoo who wants to fire radiation at you left, right, and center. You think I'm metastatic then? Say to him, do you think I'm metastatic? And if he says, I don't really know, then you say, well, then, you know, why are you firing stuff at me? Don't you think we should figure it out? If he says yes, then you say, well, isn't that going to affect the treatment plan? And if he says no, you ask him why he's doing it. But to point, you see, you can hear how much it bugs me. Men that you don't know that much, and they pawn you off, well, it's not FDA approved. We know it's not FDA approved, but there are alternatives that are like Axumin, and it is available, and it affects your treatment. So that's what I would do. Anybody else want to tell me to calm down and they should?
Well, I won't tell you to calm down, Rick, but I'll say I agree with you 100%. This is serious. You need to assert yourself and say, if you think I'm metastatic, let's find out. And this is the way we need to find out.
Quite right.
Thank you. Thank you for that encouragement.
Len?
The other part of my question is you know, he jumped right into the external beam radiation, and you know, I've heard a lot of different types of radiation. I'm just wondering why he landed on that. Is that pretty standard? Is that something that other radiation therapies might be should be considered, or is that?
You know, I think it largely depends on what type of radiation he is he's recommending, because there's a lot of different types of external beam radiation. Jim Ward, you want to briefly tell Jim B your story about different types of radiation?
I guess in the end we went with IMRT.
Right, but why was that?
I believe that decision was based on the fact that we wanted to do the whole pelvic girdle, and because, you know, I was known to be metastatic.
Well, I think it really had more to do with what they were not using up-to-date equipment at Kansas, and we wanted to get you into up-to-date equipment, right?
Well, that's true, but I mean, I think what they were planning to do at the University of Kansas was IMRT, but it was just more a question of whether or not they were going to use those gold fiducial markers, which they weren't going to use those at KU. So, in light of that, you all encouraged me to go down to MD Anderson, where, you know, it's pretty much standard of care there, like seemingly like most anywhere else. So, I mean, that was my experience. I'm not sure how it relates to the other Jim, but.
Well, I mean, I think all we're saying here, I mean, Jim's asking about different types of radiation. I mean, I think in Jim Ward's case, when we heard what they were going to use to treat him, we felt it wasn't the most current and up-to-date equipment. So we diverted him to a place where he could use that. So there are different, so you need to make sure you're getting the best available type. You know, find out more about the actual equipment that he's using. And don't have him railroad you. And you as Herb Geller so correctly said, you've got to stand up for yourself here. You know, Len or Peter, anybody want to say anything about this?
Yeah, Jim, I just looked up on clinicaltrials.gov. Indiana University has a number of several trials of gallium-68 PSMA scans on trial that might work for you. Just just go to clinicaltrials.gov and do a search for gallium-68 PSMA and see if you fit the criteria. I mean, it means driving across Ohio, but it's a one-day deal, and you might qualify. And that if it's a trial and you can get into it, then the cost is almost nothing.
Do you know about clinicaltrials.gov? Have you looked at it, Jim?
I have not.
Okay, so clinicaltrials.gov is a worldwide listing of all the clinical trials that are out there. And it's a little complicated when you first use it. Once you get the hang of it, you'll use it more regularly. But you want to put in, it'll ask you for your disease type, it'll ask you for anything specific, and in there you would put, Peter probably just put PSMA or PSMA 68 gallium. What did you just put in, Peter?
Yeah, PSMA gallium-68, or just PSMA, because gallium is the only one they're doing right now.
Yeah, it could pick up lutetium, it could pick up treatment and curative as opposed to scanning, Peter, if you just put in PSMA.
Right. Well, this is diagnostic, so it's
right.
So it picks it up.
So you're looking for a diagnostic test, Jim, and not a treatment test, a management protocol or a treatment protocol. You're looking for a diagnostic protocol. But if you put in PSMA 68 gallium, if you've got an issue, drop us a line. We'll help you through it the first or second time, and then you'll look and see what's there. And then you have to read them, and they're complicated to read. There's eligibility requirements and everything else, but you'll manage, you'll apply yourself. Anybody got any quick advice for Jim on using clinicaltrials.gov for the first time?
Just a quick question. Are we recording this tonight? Can I come back and listen to this again?
Yes.
Okay, though.
And
listen and take notes.
I did a presentation that included how to use clinicaltrials.gov. I did that at PCRI, I think 2 years ago, and I'm pretty certain it is on our website. And I'll try and see if I can find it afterwards. I think we put that recording on the website. Okay. And it takes you through how to use, we had about 50 people in the audience, and I went through how to use clinicaltrials.gov. That would be helpful for you. I'll look it up.
If it's not on your website, I'm pretty sure it's on our YouTube channel under webinars.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, let me double check that, but I think it is.
Okay.
Also, Professor Bill and Larry Fish and I put together a tutorial on how to search clinicaltrials.gov, and it's been languishing in the wings for too long. I can send that over to, well, I'll send it to you, Rick, and then you can forward it to Jim. I don't have his.
Okay, but that's never made it. That's never seen the light of day. I've never seen this before.
I know.
Where's Larry Fish? Oh, there he is.
You know what? No, seriously, when we go back, when I went back and look at it, I mean, it still needs some work, and I think trials have become so much more complicated.
Well, maybe Len and Larry can talk to each other, and we'll see, and we'll get something to you, Jim. But maybe Len and Larry, and maybe this is great, because maybe this will help surface, and we'll publish it in memory of Professor Bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rick, was it getting the most out of the internet? Is that the one?
Yes, getting the most out of the internet. That's it.
Okay, I'll post the link to our YouTube channel in the chat box.
Okay, thanks. Okay, that's the one, getting the most out of the internet. Now, I just want to say we've had a whole bunch of guys suddenly join us. I'm not quite sure why, because we're about to close this meeting. It started at 6 o'clock or 3 o'clock. It's a Tuesday. Mr. Chowdhury, we'll have to ask you to come back. Scott will, I'm not sure who or where you are, but I'm afraid this room is getting used in a few minutes. So our Tuesday meetings start at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Our Monday meetings start at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So please pay attention to the reminders that go out. If you're not getting that reminder, you can just send us your email, info@ancan.org. You can go to the website and sign up for the reminder. Mr. Chowdhury, we do have experience of proton beam therapy. I'm not sure if you're an advanced or recurrent patient or if you're just starting out on this journey. This is the advanced group here.
New into this journey. I have a prostate advanced aggressive cancer.
Let me interrupt you. This isn't the right group anyway. The right group for you is on the 2nd and the 4th Mondays.
Okay.
So it was yesterday at 5 o'clock. You were close. If you'd have come in yesterday at 5 o'clock, you would have found Peter Kafka moderating a group for you. Okay.
I can see Peter Kafka here also. Are you there?
Peter Kafka is here, but this is the advanced, this is the high risk recurrent and advanced group.
Okay, sorry.
And what you want, is the low and intermediate group.
I just sent you my email and phone number, so I'm sure. And,
Thank you, Peter. I'll get in touch with you. I got the wrong message that the meeting is going to start here. I'm in Chicago at 7 p.m. Sorry about that.
Okay, well, you can give me a call because it's pretty early here, and I'll talk to you about proton beam.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, and come back to Peter's next meeting, which will be on the 2nd Monday. What date's your next meeting, Peter?
The 14th. 14th.
Mark it in your calendar, Shamsul, the 13th of
September
at 5 o'clock, and Peter will be happy to talk to you.
5 o'clock Eastern time?
Pacific time.
I'm sorry, 5 o'clock Pacific time, 7 o'clock Chicago time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, one other thing whilst we are talking about that, next month, we are changing our Tuesday meetings. Okay? We're changing them to the 1st and the 3rd Tuesday, not the 2nd and the 4th, because if you look at the calendar, the 1st Monday is followed by the 2nd Tuesday, meaning we have meetings on successive nights, which we don't want to do. It happens once in a while. It's a calendar quirk. So what we will be doing is moving the Tuesday meetings back a week to keep us basically having a meeting every week. So the next meeting will be our next meeting will be on Tuesday, September 1st. There will be no meeting on the Monday 31st because it's a 5th Monday. But on Tuesday, September 1st, we will have an unusual meeting for the recurrent, for the high-risk recurrent advanced group. And I will send out and try and let everybody know, guaranteed there'll be people showing up every day of the week next month. We may have to appoint Russ as the proctor to make sure that everybody shows up in the right place. All right, guys, that's it for now. We almost got through on time. I thought we were going to make it, but we got hijacked. All right.
See you guys. Have a good week.
See you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.